Hey y'all! Today we're going to be playing some Turbo Draft on Nova Island. I love Turbo Draft, it's a really exciting and challenging game mode, so I thought I would just share some games and talk about my thought process a little bit. So starting off, the first choice you have to make when playing Turbo is what pro to use. Two things I think about here are taking over the board, especially those prime 100% spots so that I can win quickly, and having enough removal that I can stop my opponent from winning. So I usually pick Jack because she has Joe Clone, which is great at taking over the board, and Crusher and Eviction are great removal that can deal with a lot of threats. Okay, so I've picked Jack, let's jump into a game. First I'll walk through how I made my draft picks, and then we can see how the game actually turned out. Alright, so my opponent's Flora, so I'm going to look out for maybe some glitch to stop blooming, or ways to deal with a bunch of small friends maybe. But yeah, let's look at the choices. So Bloomcat versus IP, I picked Bloomcat. It's just going to have a little bit of a bigger impact on the board. Weed versus Pearl. This was a hard one. I couldn't really decide because Pearl is great because it actually gives you boom powers, which can be really needed removal. But Weed is also good because it can kind of hold down a spot and score a bunch of Novas and be hard to deal with. So I ended up going with Weed. High Roller and Piggy Bank. High Roller is not that useful, so I ended up picking Piggy Bank, just hoping if I drew it in my opening hand I might be able to use it, but that doesn't always happen. Spellulator and Territorial. So for me, I don't really care to play Territorial in Turbo Draft. It's just so expensive that whatever my opponent's going to do with those 6 coins is probably going to make up for the benefit I got from the Territorial. I'd actually rather take Spellulator as a single target removal. There's going to be something to use that on. Alright, Minerva or Mega Joe. So I love Mega Joe. If you play it early enough, you just start taking over the board, and it can really win you the game, so definitely picked Mega Joe here. Waterer and Snapper. Waterer is a great card. Maybe I should have picked Waterer, but I really love to pick Snapper because if you play it on the 30% spot on the left, it energizes quite a bit and can do a bunch of damage, and it's just fun to get to use Snapper, so I went with Snapper. Alright, Split or Sideswipe. I do like Split, but since I knew my opponent was Felina, I definitely wanted Sideswipe because it should be able to control the lobby after maybe a Super Bloom or a Bloomicite comes down. So definitely wanted Sideswipe. Fertilizer or Bloom Shooter. I think Fertilizer can be useful, but Bloom Shooter is just going to have a bigger impact because it scores a bunch of Novas itself at 5 health, and then the Bloom and the health buff from it can be really impactful. Mega Hack or EMP, so this was an easy choice. EMP is generally kind of useful, and especially against Flora because like this is going to block Bloom, and the 1 damages could help clean up any like small friends or Bloomkins that are around. Chain Reaction or Light Speed. I picked Chain Reaction. It can usually come in handy because it gives you the health advantage, and especially now I have some glitch with Sideswipe and EMP, so that made me hope that I could use that Chain Reaction to get an even bigger advantage. Alright, so that was the deck, so let's go ahead and see how the game turned out. Okay, I'm actually going to play... I'm just going to pass. Okay, they also passed. I was thinking they might do something like Super Bloom. But I have a lot of coins now. I'm actually going to Mega Joe to kind of start taking over. This might prompt them to play Superpower. Okay, I wasn't expecting that Superpower. So I'm going to need to do something about that Snake Genie. But for now I just wanted to kind of take over the board, so I'm just going to play Bloom Cat. Nice, I love it when the kitten... Ooh, okay, so they had a great response. So they had a laser beam, and that completely destroyed everything that I had in the lobby. And even my Joe that came out got hit by their Ratapult. So they are doing a pretty good job here. what to do. I'm a little tempted to use Sideswipe in the lobby because that kind of helps deal with the... Okay, and I was going to play my Snapper. I think I'm going to Crusher the Snake Genie and then evict the Ratapult. So now they have Telepath that's going to be giving them some additional coins and cards. But I at least have Mega Joe that's helping me take over the lobby. Still vulnerable to Bloomisite or to another Laser Beam, but they can't have Bloomisite yet. Yeah, let's do a Bloom Shooter. Try to buff up my lobby here. Oh, they are just full of answers. That was good. I'm kind of tempted by a few things, but I'm just going to pass. Yeah, so I don't really want that situation to go on because they're going to get way too many Novas. So I'm actually going to go ahead and use EMP. That's going to take out at least the IP and the Snake Skin. I'm not sure the glitch really matters at this point, but that's at least a way to limit the damage and make sure that my Joe can land on the other 100% spot. Okay, so the only good news is I haven't hit 6 yet. The bad news is I'm in trouble. Okay, so I got Joe Clone. I'm going to play Joe Clone and at least take up the lobby, assuming they don't have some way to remove it. Okay, what I'm thinking about doing is a chain reaction because all of their stuff is below ground and I can sell, or that is to say, Spellulator the one. Okay, I'm kind of glad I did that to save that Joe. I need to use Spellulator or else they could win. Ah, they have their own. Okay, that actually worked out well for me because now I can use the Spellulator and get rid of that buff off of them as well. So I've got to do that now. I can't just pass. Okay, I'm really glad I got another Sideswipe. Unfortunately, they're in pretty good shape. But with this large Joe, and I was hoping to see the Bloom Shooter energize, but it didn't. So we're both at 15. Okay, Bloomisite was expected. I'm actually going to respond with Sideswipe. Okay, another Lightning Storm doesn't bother me too much. I can actually start dropping these weeds now. Another weed. Alright, this is pretty interesting. Without doing mental math, because that's hard. Okay, they got another puff. Okay. So this is really going to come down to whether that mezzanine energizes for them or not. So I'm not super confident. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so I'm at 20, 22, but they're at 21. Snapper! Yes, okay. That was a perfect time to Snapper. Not that it matters, that does damage, but it means that I win the game. So that was a super close one. GG. So looking back at that game, that was a super fun one. My opponent had some really good answers, like the Laser Beam and Lightning Storm. And I had, Sideswipe was really helpful, and I had Jack's superpowers. So we had a lot of good back and forth, and it was super close in the end. A couple thoughts about the draft, maybe. I know I won with Snapper energizing, but really Snapper didn't do much that game. and my other choice there was Waterer. I think that would have been slightly better. But yeah, I was also torn on whether I should pick Weed or Pearl. It didn't end up mattering because I didn't really get a good chance to play the Weeds, which I should have played earlier to get advantage of the health buff. So it just didn't turn out to matter that much. I'm sure Pearl would have been a good choice as well. Bloom Shooter was really helpful, and definitely Mega Joe was the hero here. Even though my opponent had a bunch of ways to deal with all my friends in the lobby and I kept getting cleared out, that Mega Joe is still there and still just throwing down more Joes. So it was a real hero this game and just reinforces that I think Mega Joe is a great pick in Turbo Draft. But yeah, super fun game. I enjoyed that one. Okay, so on to the next draft. My opponent was Boom. So when I was drafting, I was thinking about making sure I had strong enough aggressive friends or buffs so that I could keep up the threat on the board, even though they'll be using their superpowers to try to remove my friends. So first choice was Bloomer versus Night Swipe. That was a pretty easy choice. Bloomer can become a threat super quickly, so Bloomer is almost always going to be my pick. 1 cent or Pearl. So normally 1 cent is good against Boom, but for Turbo, I tend to pick the 2 costs because I want to make sure that I'm having a strong impact on the board. And Pearl is actually great to get those extra removal powers, so I went ahead and picked Pearl here. Prepare or Escape Pod. This was an easy choice for me. I think that in Turbo Draft, the games are over pretty quickly, so I don't usually feel that I need more card draw. And so the Escape Pod is going to be much more useful to get an extra coin that I need or just open a spot to play something or something like that. So definitely Escape Pod here. Grenado or Explosion. Explosion doesn't feel very reliable for its coin cost, so I thought Grenado would probably come in handy more. Brainiac or Mega Joe? Well, I said it before and I'll say it again. Mega Joe is great in Turbo Draft, so definitely picked Mega Joe here as well. Rochelle or Bomber? They're both pretty good, but Bomber can be awesome when you play it on the 65 or 60%, and it does a lot of damage to the friends in the lobby, so I went with Bomber. Flash or Sprink? So against some opponents, I would have picked Sprink, but knowing that my opponent was Boom, I decided to go with Flash just to get the extra health on the board. If I had been thinking about the fact that I already picked Escape Pod, that might have pushed me towards Sprink a little bit because I could use Escape Pod to make a spot for Sprink, but I didn't think of that, and so I just went with Flash. Fertilizer versus Morpheus. So Morpheus here could be useful, but it kind of does a similar thing to Fertilizer, and Fertilizer is cheaper, it draws a card, so I went with Fertilizer. Get Out or Favoritism? So Get Out is great, but I love Favoritism. It's great how it's so flexible in terms of it can do both damage and buff, so there's a lot of good opportunities to play it, so I picked Favoritism here. And Chain Reaction or High Voltage. And this one I wasn't sure. I didn't really have any glitch that usually helps out with Chain Reaction, and since I had picked Mega Joe, I was kind of imagining I could fill the board with Joes and I could pick High Voltage and then buff all the Joes and win with High Voltage. So yeah, I went with High Voltage here. All right, let's see if my plan came true. Okay, so we're starting the game and I basically only have powers. So I guess I'm going to play my Flash and see if they can immediately kill it. Oh yeah, okay. So they have Bloomcat and Bloom Kitten in the lobby, and they were able to kill the Flash. I mean, the good news is they don't have any superpowers left. But this is not my favorite hand here. Okay, so I'm going to play a Bomber. They try to kill the Bomber. I will pass. Bomber didn't even energize, So I'm not in great shape here. I mean, they have a lot of the lobby. So one thing that would be fun to do would be to use favoritism. One thing I'm kind of tempted to do right now is just use Escape Pod to replay Bomber to get it back up to 4 health. Okay, that was a waste of time because they just killed the Bomber with a Territorial. So at least I have Eviction. Eviction's going to be pretty good against this Territorial. Hopefully move that Bloomcat somewhere it can't do any more damage. And nice. So I think I have to play a little defensively here. I'm just going to use Favoritism to kill the Bloom Cat and Kitten. And then Joe Clone to take up the remaining spots. And pass. So one thing I could do next time is straight up high voltage to buff my Joes. I'm hoping I'll get something. Okay. So I'm even a little bit worried about that Melder just because they're really close to winning. But I'm going to play Pearl and see what I get. Alright, it's another Grenado. I think I'm going to be using those. Whew, okay. I'm not in good shape here. So I am going to Grenado. And then I think I'm going to use Fertilizer just because if I am going to win, I'm going to need to score some Novas quickly. And it also draws a card. Okay, that was pretty nice. Okay, well I didn't get to energize that much, but they didn't energize either, which is even more important because they have all this bloom. I'm gonna play Mega Joe. Okay, I'm just gonna pass. I can't really do anything useful. Maybe I shouldn't have Mega Joe, maybe I should have high voltage. Okay, yeah, so if I kill this, at least my Mega Joe gets to drop a Joe there, so let's try it and see what happens. Okay, so that Brainheart is a good combo with Waterer. I'm not sure it really matters at this point. It's just a few zap. That's why I don't think Brainheart's really useful in Turbo. Okay, so what I do have on my side here is the high voltage. And they're putting all their eggs on that yeah. Kill the Seedlet. I'm expecting them to use some kind of removal superpower soon. Okay, so they're going to try and zap me and win with the Waterer. High voltage is going to do a lot. And the only question is it going to do enough? Yeah, I only see a point to trying to hit the Waterer because it's there. If it energizes, they get over 20. So yeah. I think they're too smart to leave a spot open for Joe Clone. They're just going to try and hurt my friends. So I'm kind of banking on this 40% chance that the Waterer doesn't energize. Which failed. But if my Miz energizes on 65, I still have a shot? Question mark? Oh, so close! Okay, GG. That was a fun one. Okay, so looking back at that game, that was so close. I could have won. But it was actually a struggle, even from the beginning when I really had a weak opening hand that was all powers and didn't really give me anything to play down. I don't think I could have changed anything in the draft to really fix that. It's just bad luck, but that's how these things go. Like there was some weird energizing in this game for sure. Like when I went and played Polynesian, and then none of the Bloom friends actually energized. That was really lucky for me. And then at the end, I lost because of bad energizing luck. So yeah, that's Turbo Draft for you. There's lots of luck and lots of exciting and dramatic moments. Okay, the next game I want to show my opponent is Max. So when I was drafting, I was looking out to make sure I got a good amount of removal because when Max plays his superpowers, he's going to create some really large and scary friends. So first pick, Jazzy or Glitchy. So I immediately picked Glitchy here because that's going to block any buffs for a turn, so that could give me a bit of an advantage against Max. Chris or Paper Cut. I don't think Chris is bad, but I kind of wanted the more defensive option here, so I went with Paper Cut. Subwoofer and Makeover. I'm not that excited about either of those, but I just picked Makeover because we might get something like a 4-cost friend that we could use it on. Terminate or Territorial? Yeah, so I think Territorial is a little bit expensive, whereas Terminate actually comes in handy because it can deal with any enemy, no matter how big, and it even has glitch attached to it. So picked Terminate here. Minerva or Mega Joe? Yep, definitely want Mega Joe to try to take over the board. Rochelle or BB? So I kind of wanted Rochelle here because she's just a pretty solid friend. And the other nice thing is I already picked Paper Cut, and Rochelle and Paper Cut are going to make a combo where Rochelle will get triggered and give me a bunch of slicers. So that was good. Bloom King versus the Muscle. The Muscle's pretty useful, but I wanted Bloom King here. It's just great when you see that perfect spot to play Bloom King. And you get more of those chances than you do in a normal game because of the higher coin amounts. So I picked Bloom King here. Growth Spray or Bloom Queen. It's not really a hard choice. Bloom Queen's possibly going to win the game. Growth Spray is just kind of meh, so definitely picked Bloom Queen. Disintegrate versus Spear Attack. Disintegrate can be a little bit hard to use, but it's such a good answer to Destroyer, for example, that I definitely wanted to pick Disintegrate. And Campfire or High Voltage. Since I already had Bloom Queen, I didn't really feel I needed High Voltage, whereas the flexibility of Campfire could come in handy more easily, so pick the cheaper option here with Campfire. All right, let's see how it turned out. Okay, so I love that I have Bloom King. If things go well, I might be able to use it. So I'm actually going to pass and let them play first. Well, they're definitely going to buff that, but that's okay. Maybe? Or should I play Rochelle? You know what? I'm gonna play Rochelle because I don't want them to get both 100% spots. And since they buff it to the point where Bloom King wouldn't kill it anyway, that's fine. Okay, this is pretty scary. I'm actually going to use Terminate now. And the nice thing is that does glitch the Bloom Queen as well. So that means I'll be able to Crusher it next time. And yeah, I think it's worth crushing the Bloom Queen, because otherwise they can buff it and then it'll live and I don't want it to live. So, okay, so they had a Bloom King and that did get to kill my, okay, what do I do? So I do have Eviction at least. I'm actually going to try to just like kind of pass and wait to evict. So I'll play a Paper Cut just to play something. Okay, this is kind of rough. I hate to use Eviction already, but I think it's my best option. And yeah, I'm just going to kill that because it has bloom, so it'll keep getting stronger. The good news is I do keep getting these slicers thanks to this paper cut Rochelle combo. And the other nice news is that I actually have a nice spot for my Bloom King now. So I'm feeling a little better now. Oh, they go first. Actually, that's even better Bloom King spot because I get to kill both of their things. All right, so they have a response. I think I'm going to go ahead and kill the Seedlit now because if they want to buff something with their superpower, then they'd have to play something new. Alright, so this looks pretty good. I think I've taken this back pretty well because I get to take a bunch of the lobby now. And I could make over the Bloom King, but I think the Bloom King's doing pretty well on its own. I don't really want to make it over right now. Alright, I would love to play Bloom Queen, but I think my best bet is just to pass. Okay, fascinating. I think I'll Bloom Queen just to buff all of my Joes to kind of ensure that that 100% Joe is big enough to win. Okay, that's an interesting move. So, and they do still have superpowers, so it might be worth it to, I don't know if this is worth it, but I just did it. Glitch before they can play any other buffs, and just go ahead and hit that with a slicer to take the number of Novas down. Alright, I think I'm good. Bloom Queen did not energize, but I do get over 20, so... Okay, I thought that was going to be tied, but I managed to get 21 and they got 20. So that would be a win for me. So GG, that was a fun one. Looking back at that game, there were definitely some moments where I thought I was in trouble because my opponent had played some strong things in the lobby, but I was able to take back control and turn it around. So that was really satisfying. The combo of Rochelle and Paper Cut was actually awesome because those slicers were just what I needed to clean up some of the friends my opponent was playing down. One interesting choice there was I ended up using Eviction kind of early, just on one friend, which was to get rid of the Bloom King out of the 100% spot. But I think that really worked out. It enabled me to take back control of the lobby, so I think that was the right choice, even though it felt a little bit weird. Well, I think that's all we have time for now, but I hope you enjoyed seeing a couple of games of Turbo Draft. I know I had a lot of fun playing them, doing my best and seeing how they would turn out. So thanks so much for watching, and if you have any feedback, let me know. Okay, bye.